thanks everyone for being here. Welcome to 10-Minute Marketing. I'm your host, Sonja Crystal Williams. So I have a special guest joining us today, and our guest is Tamsin Parry, joining us from Cape Town, South Africa. Welcome, Tamsin.
Hello, how are you?
Good, thank you. So a little bit of background on Tamsin, and then Tamsin, I'm going to turn it over to you to share a little bit more of your story. Tamsin is a remote team specialist. She's spent over 10 years building and growing businesses, small businesses, medium-sized businesses, and truly has a passion in working with entrepreneurs to really streamline their operations. How does she do this? Through VAs. She specializes in finding remote support, specifically Filipino VAs. And Tamsin, I'll let you share a little bit more about that. So I'm really interested in hearing, like, what is your backstory? How did you end up even getting into this line of work? And then specifically helping businesses with finding Filipino VAs?
So I started hiring VAs 10 years ago when someone told me about it. And at that time, I mean, everybody knows Filipino VAs for being cost effective. But for me, the lightning bolt went off because I had been hiring local admin assistants, and there was such a high turnover that I was just so tired of training admin people, getting them up to speed, 6 months later, leaving. So I cottoned onto that and built that team into Filipino VAs. And some of those people 7 years later, are still working with that company that I was working for. So it was a good move. And then in my more recent years, I moved into the online business space when my son was born, and I wanted, to work from home and entered into the online business space. And then I kind of came at it from a different angle, where I was working with these amazing, dynamic people doing amazing things in the world. And I really am into transformation, and I believe changing the world is going to happen through entrepreneurs. And what I was seeing with these stressed, burnt out business owners, amazing women and men actually, were like, I'm gonna quit my business because there's just too much with the blog posting and the social media, and then running my group, and then the Facebook groups. They were just, caving in, and also just couldn't find good people. And so that's when I kind of put two and two together. I did work with some VA agencies, but then I kind of opened that, for having been to Cebu in the Philippines. I started to really look under the hood of agencies and exploitation and ethics and all of that. And there was a lot of things that didn't sit well with me. And then I thought to myself, the difficulty that business owners have is actually finding the people, but they don't want the agencies and all of that. So I developed that service to really be a matchmaker for these amazing, dynamic business owners, and finding these wonderful, hardworking, committed VAs, and really, creating a bit of magic for both parties. So that's how I got into it.
Yeah, no, it's like a match made in heaven, because, and I'll say this from my own experience as a business owner, and definitely it's often a question that I've asked to mentors or people who are way further along in business than I am throughout the years, which is like, how do you find good talent? And that is such a hard thing. So you bring up a really good point, that's a struggle for a lot of business owners, being able to find the right VA. Another good point you bring up, the ethics in all of this. I know that must be huge, right? So that's a big part of what you do. Let's shift in talking. Okay, so you've been in business, would you say like 10 years, but you've got some people that have worked, or how long officially, let's say?
So the Doing Company has been going for 4 years. Before that, I was in operations and team. So I've been working with Filipinos for 10 years, but I've got 30 years of team leadership management, on the ground, which so I certainly bring all of that into it, because, people are people, and, it does take a bit of an art I think hiring the right person does definitely make the whole process much simpler. Yes. Especially if it's the time you're hiring people and you're not that comfortable, if you've never managed people before, and hiring the right person from the beginning will just make it so much easier if they've got the same values as you: accountability, punctuality, attention to detail, hardworking, and that's the bare minimum that someone should bring to a job. If you have to instill that into someone, they're not the right person.
So good.
Yeah.
So true. And then you mentioned like some of the struggles business owners encounter that you saw, like where there was kind of a gap in this need with posting online and things like that. Give me a little bit more detail. Like, where do these VAs come in that you find and really help business owners? What areas of support are they offering?
The main roles that I hire for is a general VA, but it's very seldom just a basic VA. So when we talk about a general VA, we're talking about data entry, customer service, uploading videos, doing things like this, downloading the video from the podcast and uploading it to the member area, all of those kinds of tech things, sending out bulk emails. But they will often ask for a twist on that. So it may be a social media manager with a basic admin, or it will be bookkeeping and admin. So for people that have a lot of transactions that need to be reconciled, they just want someone with a bit of bookkeeping experience. Digital marketing, general digital marketing, so Google AdWords, Facebook ads, that kind of thing. And then graphic design, that's more the social media side. Sometimes do WordPress support, help desk, those types of roles.
Yeah. That's pretty specific. I mean, so what does the matchmaking look like for you? Because you said you've been to Cebu in the Philippines, where originally you were finding VAs. Like, what does that look like? How do you find these people with these skill sets?
The main thing is getting a really good download from the client, and sometimes it does take a bit of massaging. So often it may be a process where I'm kind of guiding them. They know they need someone, but they don't know where to start. So it's really finding a good job description with the specific tasks, so that it's quite. The more detailed it can be, the more grounded it is, the easier it is to find the people. And then we just advertise to there's various Facebook groups. From now, for all the years, I've actually got a really beautiful network of people, and they all know that I get good clients, because I do have really wonderful, I do have a network of wonderful clients that are normally fairly established, because a lot of the problems with the VAs is that it's contract work. So they're just doing little bits here and there. So to find a good client that's established and looking to grow is really a great job for them. So and then it's just a matter of distributing through my networks to find the right people. And then I have a fairly rigorous recruitment process, to find the right person. And really, it can be overwhelming, because you can, if you put an ad in one of the Facebook groups, the Filipino virtual assistant Facebook groups, you can be bombarded with lots and lots of applicants. Right. So my approach is really to put the onus onto the applicant. So, because you're, assuming that most of the people listening are really time poor already, like who's got time to actually find someone, but to put it onto them. So by putting forward an application form so that they have to kind of opt in. And then, so you're more passive, and they're the ones that are doing all the work, is the best way to kind of guide them through, because then the ones that aren't serious and aren't committed will kind of eliminate themselves. So then you're only maybe dealing with a handful, or 10, 15 real candidates that are really interested.
Okay, so I'm hearing a couple of things. One, note, business owners who are listening, you got to come with your stuff together when you're ready to hire a VA, or find someone like Tamsin who's going to help you through that process of really figuring out what you want, and who you're going to hire and how that looks. And then two, Tamsin, it sounds like you've got a really great handle on that part of the business in terms of how you find people and the processes that are set in place. Let's talk a little bit about growth, because you've been in business for 4 years. So that's, kind of to some degree, you've kind of coming out of that startup phase, but what does growth look like for you? Like, what does that look like? How have you had to get out there and really earn that client base that you've been building?
Yeah, I've been reflecting on it since since I knew we were coming up to have this conversation. And I heard a beautiful expression today that I've never heard before. And the lady said, marketing is relationships.
Mm.
And I thought, wow, that's really interesting, because I would say that for me, and I do believe this is not for everybody.
Yes.
Everybody, I think the best marketing is when you know who you are, what you like to do,
Mm-hmm.
and it's aligned to that. Okay.
Yes.
And the more that I lean into that, so it's like if somebody asks me to blog, it's like writing is it's just not my thing. And even with ChatGPT, it's better, but it's still, it's not my natural way. And I actually did, one of the things that I do find difficult with coaches is that often the coach is teaching you what they know,
Mm-hmm.
what their expertise is. So I was working with a coach who was fabulous. He was in all different ways, but he was really into Facebook ads, and I spent a lot of time, and it was good, learning Facebook ads, and it really didn't go anywhere. Like, it was difficult, and it struggled just for me. I'm not saying this for anybody.
Right.
And when I looked back and I pivoted away from that to what I know, and it is networking, and it's more than just networking, because I've realized that networking it's more about relationships.
Yeah.
And when I look at the success over the last 4 years, it was showing up consistently in every sphere. So if I'm in a group, I show up, I give 110%, whether it's related, whether it's not related, and genuine relationships have blossomed out of that. And when it happens, it's so natural. And so can that be replicated? I think it certainly can. And now that I've been having that as a strategic choice, not just a random thing, which it was before. It was like, oh yeah, I love all these people and I've got all my business besties, but like, no, this is my strategic plan. It's so easy, and it's just it just comes really it's just coming really naturally, because I get for every one client I get 2 referrals. So it's a real, I don't even know how to do a cold sell, because I like seldom get cold sells. They're always, through referrals and things like that. So it's a bit of a long answer, but that's
Yeah. So relationship is everything. And networking, not just I met you once, but now I turn that into a relationship. For that might not be everyone, that might not be 100% of the people you meet, but you'll find the ones where it makes sense and it happens organically. How do you begin to foster those relationships, particularly now we're in a world where you could still meet with some people face to face and sit down for coffee, tea, lunch, but even beyond that, right? I'm in Atlanta, you're in South Africa. Like, how do you nurture those relationships, or those meetings when you do meet people, so that it turns into a relationship and eventually referrals?
Yeah, I mean, I have only done 2 client meetings face to face in 4 years, and I've done 2 business presentations in person. All the rest are online. So for me, it's a very organic gut feel. So I'll connect with someone. I might connect with 4 people, and it's really natural.
Yeah.
And then I chat, and some people it's just a spark that just takes off. Like I actually did a masterclass yesterday, and the lady, because I did what I always do, I just show up.
Yep.
And I ask questions, and I try to get the most value out of it that I can. And she found me on Instagram, the lady who was leading it. And just like that, it's just blown into this, like we're chatting on Instagram. It's 1-minute messages, because I didn't even know that Instagram only does 1-minute messages, but I learned last night.
Oh, the voice
and there it
messages.
was.
And
Yeah,
huge.
voice message.
A lot of people don't even think about that. As different ways to communicate. We have email, we have regular chat, but wow, hearing someone over voice and it not feeling like they send this to everyone, it's automated, it feels personal. And yeah, I think that's actually really touching.
And I'm not too attached to where it would go. I mean, she's a pretty high profile person, but I really put that secondary because it's more about building the relationship. And we'll, and then having said that, I did a presentation today and I thought about somebody 18 months ago who I worked with. And I was like, she would be amazing for her. And it's like, it's like that. And I just follow up. I just really follow my instinct when it's just doing that connecting. And I do know it's probably something in my stars or something. It's like I'm obviously a something like a manifesting generator or a connector. But it does work. And I think just really embracing that and knowing that about myself and stop trying to do another marketing strategy that doesn't really work organically for me. It's just it does feel quite powerful and igniting, if that's a word. It's like I'm in my zone.
Yeah. So I'm hearing relationships and then nurturing. I mean, it's just kind of a simple 2-step process, but figuring out how and where in different ways. And it could be across multiple channels. It's not necessarily one. In that case, you mentioned the one from that masterclass Instagram was the channel where you all connected. And those are where we find the best opportunities. I have a blog post about sliding into people's DMs and how valuable that can be. So I think that's definitely a huge way to foster those relationships. Okay, so we're going to shift into our lightning round, and I'm going to start out with one question, which you kind of already answered, but I'm going to throw it out there to you, which is if you could pick one way to market your business for the next 12 months, or I'll even be more specific and say one channel that you could use to market your business for the next 12 months, what would you put your marketing budget into?
Sponsoring newsletters.
Ooh, that's a good one. Okay, why that?
Because, as I said, I see this as an alignment. It's natural for me to do the networking and the partnerships, and I feel like it's a natural extension. And so if I was going to spend marketing money, it would be in that area. It's getting in front of my target audience, and that's really the phase that I'm into now. Is like, how can I be in front of my target audience? Yeah, to have the most impact.
Perfect. Okay. In 1 to 2 short sentences, what do you feel like is the most fulfilling thing about what you do?
It's probably the email that I get from the VA. These beautiful emails from the VA saying, thank you so much for finding me such an amazing client. And then the other emails, which normally are later because it takes probably 3 to 6 months before the VA really, is fully ignited. And then getting the emails from the business owners just saying, I don't know what would have been possible if it hadn't been for my VA. And they just love their VA in the way that I love my VA and I love all the VAs. So yeah, I really know that I've made a difference and I'm transforming both of their lives, which is very satisfying.
Full circle moment. Why do people need more VAs? Just in 1 or 2 short sentences.
Need more VAs?
Yeah. Why do more people need VAs? Or business?
Well, that goes back to what I originally started with, which was the overwhelm and burnout, because ultimately my personal values is about there's not enough feminine in the world. And when I say feminine, it's like, I think there's a lot of women, especially in the women in business, which is a big, there's all like women only coaching programs, but there's so much masculine energy in that. And that is what's driving women to burnout because they're trying to be like men, even doing feminine things, but there's not enough feminine, there's not enough leaning back, there's not enough creativity and allowing and support and help and being willing to ask. And so that's why and I'm really passionate about a lot of work. I mean, entrepreneurs, as I said, are like changing the world. And so I really want to ignite them to go out and do their missions in a very supported, healthy, balanced way. And that's why that's why I really want to get VAs because, and it's also about matching, because the cost effectiveness of VAs allows people to get team members sooner than they think they can afford. So that's why it's worth really, looking into it, because you may be able to get the help sooner than you thought.
Very cool. I think your point about feminine and masculine energy, that's like a whole new topic unto itself. It's such a good conversation. All right, 2 more quick questions. Number 1, how can people find you, the Doing Company, and learn more about your services and any resources that you might have to offer where people can kind of start immersing themselves into the world of preparing to hire a VA?
So my website is the Doing Co. And my email, I'll just throw it out there because I'm a networking person more than a blogging person, but it's admin@thedoingco. And I do have a free resource, which is an ebook on how to hire a virtual team member. So it kind of walks you through the process that I said, which was about, being more passive and getting them to do the work. It kind of outlines that process of how to find a virtual team member. And that you can find at thedoing.co/VA blueprint. It's $11, but for this community, I've got a promo code, which is GG100.
Yeah.
GG100. Yeah.
So everybody, we'll drop that link so that you have the access to that along with the promo code. That way you can get access to Tamsin's ebook for free and have an incredibly valuable resource on your hands to help you figure out, as she says, to be a little bit more passive in your business and find the support you need to live out your dreams. All right, that's going to wrap us up for today. So thanks again for watching. Thanks for coming. And we'll see you on the next episode of 10-Minute Marketing. Have a great day.